The market open live stream. Let's take a look at what is going on the pre-market. We got 3 minutes to the opening bell. Hopefully you've already caught up on the crypto regulation talk we talked about. Hopefully you caught up on what happened with the unemployment numbers. Obviously that we started streaming about an hour ago, which is way earlier than usual. But anyway, let's take a look and see what's going on the market. NGA, Northern Genesis, is now ticker symbol LEV, bouncing here up about 12% in the pre-market. We've got Roku also up about 12% in the pre-market. GoPro's up 10%. Cloudflare up 8%. Some nice moves higher here since we last took a peek here at the sticks. Even Square has taken a little bit more of a rocket to the upside here. Peloton moving nicely up. Bought that yesterday at $79.99. Like seconds after I bought it too. It was like, nope, going to 78. I'm like, darn, really wanted to try to hit the bottom there. Then we've got Affirm. Okay, it's up, but candles aren't really rising at the moment. See Redfin trying to recover a little bit. It looks like Etsy's trying to recover a little bit. Might be getting some green in some of these that have really just spent all week selling off. I mean, you still got some incredible pricing here at a lot of companies as well. I mean, Lemonade's under 80, Etsy at 163. This thing usually sits around like 200 to 220 is usually where we bob around. You know, Redfin usually bobs around in the 65 to 70 range. Yeah, we had a brief moment where the thing ran up to like 90. Yeah, I mean, Snowflake is back over 200. It fell below 200 for a period of time. Coinbase is at 261. It's incredible. You've got you had a little bit of a peaking that occurred in Ethereum and Bitcoin. Both of those have kind of stopped rising. Part of my speculation as to why those may have shot up the way that they did was potentially because as the SEC talks about more regulation, maybe for the alts or brokerages, you'd imagine that maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum might benefit as being the larger ones. OcuGen down 16%. Beyond Meat down 9 what do we got here? 4. Still got EXP ticking down at 1.99. But the airlines each down about 0.5%. We are just seconds away from the opening bell, so let's go ahead and listen to it. And let's see how this market actually opens up. Let's see what's going on.
What the, hey, what the heck is this Dogecoin?
Jim, we just had the 10th anniversary of the first Fed presser that Bernanke did a decade ago. And who would have thought that this would be a regular thing every month? So who knows how the evolution of Fed comms is going to change in the years to come. Let's get the opening bell, guys. NYSE and NASDAQ on this Friday. What a week as we've had this wave of earnings. Still remains the best earnings season in about 11 years. Jim, all the talk of inflation has not stopped net margin from setting records.
No.
And as David Kostin pointed out this morning, buybacks announcements are surging once again.
Yeah, the Kostin piece. I'm tired of
minus this talk about buybacks. I think this talk about margins is super, super important. Super powerful to see margins continue to increase despite inflationary pressures. 1.54 on the 10-year Treasury, definitely down from that 1.58. It's definitely up, though, from that 1.48 when we had this overreaction to the downside. So, okay, folks, we want to see, are hedgies going to cover their shorts? And is that potentially going to lead to a tech rally? I don't know the answer. Let's see. So far, Roku, green candlesticking. Green candlesticking on tech could mean closing shorts. We will see. Cloudflare, kind of stable there, up 8.5%. Got Dogecoin sitting at 61 cents. You've got Peloton. Peloton's redding. Affirm's showing some red. Twilio's going up. You've got Snowflake heading up. Etsy, kind of stable here. Redfin, red. DocuSign, nice and up. CRISPR, stable. Okay, so no clear decision here in one direction just yet. Let's keep listening.
Get a vaccine.
Come to Times Square, see a show, get a shot, go to a baseball game, get a shot.
Gonna talk about COVID will jump.
Going to mean for Fed policy? Are we going to get any kind of tightening anytime soon, or does this report just throw cold water on that thesis entirely?
Yes.
And in the bond market, we also saw a very sharp knee-jerk reaction. That was yields lower. We broke below 1.5% on the 10-year Treasury yield and then quickly reversed that. Now we're down just a measly 2 basis points to 1.55%. I would point to some commentary from Sebastian Boyd, one of our columnists on the MLive blog. And he says that initial reaction was actually right. The complacency around this recovery has been shaken. And at the end of the day, this doesn't change what just happened. What just happened is an indication that it's going to be good for bonds and bad for the dollar. And it is still bad for the dollar this morning, John. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index is weaker by about 0.25% at this point. And as you said, euro dollar back through 121, though we are off the earlier highs. Finally, John, what all this points to.
Keep in mind, higher bond yields. So like when the 10-year goes up right here, higher bond yields generally mean a stronger dollar. So as yields go up, the dollar is more attractive to invest in. It's more attractive to invest in U.S. dollars. And hence you can see the dollar actually go up. So when yields go down, it's not a surprise to see the dollar move to the downside. All right, let's see. Trying to find out. So end phase, we got some red here. Roku's the one that's really taking off right now. I mean, Roku is just smashing. I mean, they were smashing in the pre-market. I mean, we saw it go from 5% to 10%, and now we're at 17% on Roku. I mean, this is an incredible move to the upside. This is a big position for ARK. I'm not in Roku, but this is a very, very, very nice move here by Roku. So congratulations to those of you in Roku. Also seeing Tilray move to the upside here. Makes you wonder if you've got a sort of a cannabis motion or rotation here. You've got Zom up. Sundial up. So quite a few of the cannabis plays moving to the upside here. You've got Piton is up back to 90 right now, moving nicely, getting some good green candles here, recovering from that overreaction on the recall. Square's still going red here, which is the opposite of what we saw during the open. The Sundial here is doing very well. Invite is doing well. We'll see if this ends up leading to some more selling here. We've got Etsy's red candling and Lemonade. Lemonade's also struggling to stay up here. Charge points trying to stabilize, figure out what's going on here. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's actually roughly flat, bobbing around flat. No, down about 0.4% right now on Tesla. You've got Ocugen down 12%. Trying to recover. Beyond Meat trying to recover as well, down 7.75%. And some miscellaneous other red, especially the banks, which remember lower inflation is going to hurt the banks as rates don't go up as high and as soon. Keep listening in over here.
I wish they had bought it in their sleep.
It's a joke currency. How did this happen?
I don't know.
I mean, Carl, when they were trading tulips, no one thought it was a joke. I mean, they were like,
started as a joke. Now it's for real.
But for guys, what? You can't use it at Square.
Cloudflare is starting to run a little bit.
Use it Square.
No.
Right.
It has to be legitimately illegitimate.
Well, Roku is actually slowing down. So Roku's slowing down. Cloudflare is starting to run a little bit. Upstart is also now on the chart. Upstart also looks like it's starting to run. So Upstart and Cloudflare both looking like they're running a little bit here. Volume increasing on Upstart. Volume not as high on Cloudflare as it was.
Hi, I'm Elon Musk, and I'm hosting SNL This Week with musical guest Miley Cyrus. And I'm a wild card, so there's no telling what I might do.
Same here. Rules, no thanks.
But it's also the Mother's Day show, so your moms are going to be here.
Forget what I said.
Fine, we'll be good-ish. Hi, I'm Elon Musk, and I'm hosting SNL This Week with musical guest Miley Cyrus.
What's new with you, Elon?
I just did a successful rocket launch this week.
Wow. Well, I did my laundry.
Congrats.
Actually, no, I didn't.
Oh, man. I hope I don't get demonetized for playing that clip. Yeah, that's the preview for Elon Musk being on SNL this weekend. It sounds like they got a couple different opening takes here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see Elon on and so many expectations around Doge, quite frankly. Doge right now at 61 cents. huge expectations. I mean, I think it's almost like synonymous. Like Elon on SNL, what's he gonna say about Doge? It's yeah, very interesting. So looking at the sticks here, I want to see some of the movements here. Roku turning a little red here, consolidating a bit. Tilray still taking off. Tilray's taking off better than Cloudflare is. Cloudflare, see the volume not so great on Cloudflare. Yeah, you've actually got a little bit of a slowdown on the Upstart movement also, but Upstart's still doing very well here. So trying to see, let's see, Peloton starting to red a little bit. I mean, these are all still up. Okay, what's this here? Zom. Okay, Zom's starting to take off a bit. Yeah, quite a few things considering a little bit of a takeoff here. Though we're not sure. There goes green for Roku again after a little consolidate. I have to say, I am just a little surprised about Tesla being no, there we go. Look at that U-turn on Tesla. Oh my gosh. Tesla was just down 0.44%, and it is up 0.8 now. I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised that Tesla's actually red on a day like today. This seems like a day that Tesla should be rallying. It'd be interesting to see how the day evolves, but this feels like a day that the tech should be experiencing a substantial recovery. So far, this is not really a substantial recovery. So what do we got over here?
Guys, real quickly, if I can, I did want to update because we're following it closely. The battle for KSU, of course, the two rails.
Oh, yeah.
Canadian Pacific, Canadian National. Yesterday, Canadian Pacific did get approval from the STB for a voting trust. Very important component, of course, of being able to actually move ahead with the deal. KSU is trading well above the bid it got from CP because, of course, Canadian National has a far higher bid made up of a lot more cash as well. What is important here is, at least, and I can tell you, is people close to Canadian National indicate to me they are very much.
All right, we're going to pull off that for a moment. If you have not yet, make sure to follow me on Twitter. I did post a stream here about a little brief explanation on the big miss on employment, so make sure you check that out. But if you're interested in crypto as well, check out this 3-tweet chain right here on Reg. Definitely worth a read. I did just post these, so take a look at those 4 tweets if you're interested in crypto or that miss there on employment figures. But let's go ahead and listen in a little bit over here to Bloomberg.
And it makes no sense to own those bonds just for the sake of owning them. You're not giving up a lot of carry to sit in, treasuries or other really high quality assets while you wait for valuations maybe to normalize. So it is a real challenging environment here, and that's why this is not an easy job.
Mike Collins, Rick Reader, lucky to have you with us this morning. Going to stick with us for another segment, I'm pleased to say, as we work our way through the early price action this morning. It's a real unwind of some of the moves about an hour ago. With more, here's Abby.
It is certainly a bit of a wild morning, John, because we had futures sharply higher earlier. The S&P 500 right off the open up just fractionally, now up about 0.25%. So those bulls retreating to some extent. All of this, of course, in response to that monster miss on payrolls and the huge move in yields down and then backing up. The 210s now in less than 1 bip. Let's take a look at what's happening for big tech, because big tech had been up sharply earlier, up about 2%. Now you see these big names, only NVIDIA holding on to that size gain. Apple, Microsoft, just small gains. Tesla trying to climb up 0.8%, but again, moderating the gains. Big losses, however, for 2 of the reflationary sectors, both banks and energy down sharply. Banks, well, off of their lows, but still down. Energy, a little bit, the losses sharper. And then where we have some gains unrelated to the payrolls report, John, vaccines, lots of relief here. This, of course, after Angela Merkel is opposing the patent waiver. We see BioNTech, of course, of Germany rallying the most, up 8%, but lots of strength.
I've never heard of them call it BioNTech before. Or BioNTech, but anyway, maybe that's another way to say it. So, all right, yeah, Roku's rally kind of slowing down a little bit here on Roku. GoPro is really one that's moving here, and so is Tilray still. Cloudflare, Cloud's turning red here. We saw volume coming, but it's really stabilized here, so not getting that push anymore here. The Piton is up 9.4%. At 91.75 here. BTX up about 8.3. NGA, which is now LEV, up 8.2. I honestly think this is just running on the ticker change, which I think is a little odd, quite frankly. You've got, okay, someone here says Nano Dimension. What's up with Nano Dimension and Microvision? Let's see. Nano Dimension. Yeah, Nano Dimension trying to start breaking out here. That's true. Look at that. You had a little boost of volume just in the last minute here. Nice boost of volume, Nano Dimension. Let's go ahead and take, yeah, that's good for Nano. Yeah, Microvision also just saw a nice little pop. Nice pop. Yeah, I mean, you really just added about 50 cents here. Added about 50 cents to Microvision just all of a sudden there. On the downside, still Ocugen. Beyond Meat recovering though. Beyond Meat not down that full 9 to 10% that we saw earlier. This is at 111. This is more in line with where I'm somewhat interested in the company, but with some of these other relative sell-offs on some of my other favorites, I'm not so jazzed about adding to Beyond right now, given some of the other opportunities that have been created by falling prices. Amazon's actually negative. Ford's pretty much flat. We got about 3 minutes left to get the OTCs in here, so we'll see what they have to say. What else? Tesla not where it was in terms of highs at that 670 level, back down to 666, 665. Got Arc Space up about 0.4. I would imagine the big mover today would probably be RK. It's a good day for RK. Yeah, about 3.3% there on RK. ArcG also doing well at about 3.5, with Matterport up about 3%. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's see. Bitcoin's up 57.2, and Ethereum's just over 50 or 3,500. All right, Peloton. Peloton's still climbing well here. And what else do we have here? Doge at 61.3. Okay, let's go ahead and take a peek at some of the mainstream. See what we got. All right, what do we got over here? Politics, probably.
For yachts and jet owners. Now, I would caveat that during that time with the Jobs and Tax Act, you saw one of the fastest growth rates in the U.S. over the past decade, right, Stu? And also the jobless market and the jobs market was the best in 50 years or so.
And she wants 10 trillion? Well, why not? All you got to do is print it, you know. It's as simple as that. All right, we got to get back to the jobs report. Huge disappointment. Peter Marisi is with us this morning. Look, I mean, they got it so wrong, it's not even funny. In your opinion, what went wrong?
There's something wrong with the number, in my opinion. It's one thing to say there's not enough workers around to hire in manufacturing, and as a consequence, there's zero growth in employment there. But how do you lose over 20,000 jobs in non-durable goods manufacturing when you have the kind of retail sales we have? More than that, how do you lose over 80,000 jobs in transportation and warehousing?
I'm going to pull off this. We did cover this report this morning in detail. But take a look at this. This is actually really interesting. The 10-year Treasury is really ticking back up. It's you know, a problem. Kind of weird, though. Watch this. Let's go in here. Look at that. Almost a full recovery on the 10-year Treasury. We had a massive plummet. Went down to 1.48. We watched this happen. And we knew that this kind of plummet is generally good for stocks or tech stocks. But now that we've almost completely recovered back to the levels where we were, it does make you wonder if that's going to slow down any kind of tech growth. So we'll see. NGA back up to 14% here. It's actually really incredible on the just the name change here. Roku kind of consolidating. Roku's not running as much anymore here. Same with Cloudflare. Piton got a red candle here. OGI is up a little bit at 2.6 now. It's been a pretty volatile one. Yeah, even Cloudflare has kind of slowed down on its rally. Still doing decently on, let's see here, Square. Yeah, Square's bobbing around. It's up 6% for the day. Bobbing around. Here's Nano Dimension. Yeah, Nano Dimension flattening as well. Envis was another one that spiked. Yeah, but also consolidating, kind of flattening out. Not really a big. It's hard to say it's like a big trade day because a lot of things that are starting to rally are just ending up flattening. Now they're not falling, fortunately, but some of that big rally push just isn't lasting. Ugh, it's weird. All right, keep listening in. All right, fine then. They're on commercial. What do we got over here? Check those tweets. If you have not yet checked my tweet storm, check it out.
Re-established that connection down in DC with Emily Wilkins. So let's get the response from Washington. Emily, your response to the numbers that dropped about an hour and 15 minutes ago.
So President Biden is going to be addressing these numbers today, and these numbers bolster his argument that the U.S. is still in recovery from what happened to the economy during COVID, that they need this $4 trillion package that he's proposing. You know, we've watched as governors in Montana and in South Carolina have said, you know what, people aren't returning to work because unemployment benefits are too good, and strip those unemployment benefits away. The jobs report that we have today shows that even while the lawmakers in those states feel like things are returning to normal, that's clearly not the case across the country. So this gives President Biden something to talk about, another way to continue to pitch his plan to Congress on not only infrastructure, but also jobs and sort of helping people get back to the workforce.
Let's get some more detail on that, Emily. This is the Republican talking point at the moment for governors from Montana, from South Carolina. The governor of Montana said earlier this week that the vast expansion of federal unemployment benefits is now doing more harm than good. The governor of South Carolina said what was intended to be a short-term financial assistance for the vulnerable and displaced during the height of the pandemic has turned into a dangerous federal entitlement. That's one part of the story. The other part, for anyone brought up by a single parent, they will know that it's very difficult for that single parent to go back to work if the schools are still closed. There are some issues we still haven't quite worked out here, Emily. What's been interesting for me is the governors of these respective states have made these decisions this week. We haven't had a forceful argument from the administration on why they should not end those additional unemployment benefits. Are we going to hear that?
All right, we'll pull off on UI here. Let's jump on over to CNBC for a moment, then we'll go back to the sticks. At 10 a.m., by the way, today, I will be doing a live stream with Ben Mala. So it should be fun.
Correlation between the weakness in employment gains and benefits. What makes you say that? Why are you so confident about that?
Well, you know, under normal circumstances, and certainly we're not living in normal circumstances, the 266,000 job gain a month is a good number. Unfortunately, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. And if you look back on the last 3 months, the United States economy has added 500,000 per month, 500,000 new jobs per month, as compared to the previous 3 months where it was 60,000. So we're definitely going in the right direction, but we still have a ways to go. There's no question about it. And we still dealing with the pandemic.
So I guess my question is, do you believe that fiscal support for the unemployed, which obviously was much needed in the depths of the pandemic, is now creating an inability for those people, or an unwillingness for those people to put their hand up for a job, absent higher wages?
No, I still think we need unemployment. Obviously, we still have millions of Americans out of work. Many of those Americans, don't have
the labor secretary here. By the way, Tesla is now up 1.4%.
Between open jobs and people that are unemployed, but it's not a fair correlation. And when you think about that, this month, the positive sign of this month's report is that more Americans looked for a job in the month of April than they had in the previous month. So I think as we continue to move forward here, hopefully in the coming months, we're going to see lots of those Americans that are looking for jobs, finding jobs, and I'll be able to stand in front of this camera and talk about the great gains we've had. But I still think 266,000 jobs this month is a good number.
Mr. Secretary Jim Cramer, thank you for coming on Squawk on the Street. I got an idea for you. I think that if the CDC were to say that there are such things as vaccine passports, then businesses that require them, including restaurants, say Broadway, they would open immediately. And that would.
All right, let's go ahead and pull off this. This looks like AMC is trying to make a move here. This is dropping at the moment, but AMC actually coming onto page 1 here on Webull, which, remember, Webull will still give you 2 free stocks worth up to $1,850 when you sign up and deposit $100. Just go to metkevin.com/Webull and you'll be eligible for your 2 free stocks at Webull. metkevin.com/Webull. All right, so Piton also consolidating a little bit here, kind of rotating back to the downside, but still up 7% on the day. We've got Ubiquity popping a little bit here. AMC, we'll see how that goes and that evolves. Tilray pretty stable. NGA just came out of nowhere with some volume here. Northern Genesis. You really saw this low volume, down, 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 and then all of a sudden this volume spike. Really incredible. It almost makes you wonder if there's like some group of investors that are just like, oh yeah, let's go in on this one. And you just see like all of a sudden like one group of people like, yeah, let's trade this. And then you tend to get this adjustment up for like 3 or 4 minutes. And then you kind of get the flatlining again, and then it turns red. So markets are funny. Markets are real funny. Trading and attention does a lot for stocks. I think the same is probably true at even Peloton today. I'm sure you got a lot of buy the dip swing traders.
Look for work in the month of April than the previous months. And I think that we're starting to see the confidence come back. I think people are starting to get more comfortable. We're seeing more people going out. We're seeing more people coming, more people interacting with folks. The leisure, hospitality industry, restaurant industry had the largest gains, which is great to see. But we're still, unfortunately, we're still dealing with the pandemic, and there's lots of still uncertainty here. And you know, I think the answer, it's not a simple answer. There's lots of different answers. I think number one, vaccinations is definitely part of the solution to get people back into the economy, get people back working, get the economy going again. We saw an increase in retail productivity and people going back shopping. That's another good sign that our economy is coming back strong. There's no question about it, we have ways to go. When the president and the Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, they were very intentional about making investments in different areas of the economy. And now we're looking forward looking at the American Jobs Plan, as well as continuing to rebuild our economy and make it stronger as we come out of the recession. So there's no question. I mean, I can't come here today and say to you that you know, we're fully recovered, but I can say to you today, and the American people, is that we are definitely on a track to full recovery.
We are, although not as much as people had hoped. I mean, what though is your rebuttal to those who will say, yeah, you're paying people not to work, and that's the main reason why this number is such a shortfall from what was expected?
There is millions of Americans that have been impacted by the coronavirus that lost their job. Some of their work's not coming back. We've lost restaurants, we've lost businesses. You know, we're still I wouldn't say we're in the midst of the pandemic. I don't think, I would hope not to say that, but we're still dealing and living with the pandemic. And as we continue to move forward here, we will continue to recover and continue to add jobs to our economy.
You know, Mr. Secretary, we talk all the time about construction, housing, the lack of inventory, the lack of supply. Seasonally adjusted construction, basically unchanged. Can you help our viewers understand how that's possible?
There's lots of work going on out there. We saw permits being pulled, rising across this country, building permits being pulled. During the pandemic, most of the construction didn't really stop. A lot of construction continue to move forward. When we talk about, you know, lack of or need for building more housing, that's a question we have to ask cities and towns all across America. There's issues. I mean, I'm a former mayor, so.
All right, we're going to pull off on the housing talk. We know we need more housing. I will say NGA is still rallying here. Look at that. You've got a real big push here. All of a sudden, we're moving from the sort of flatlining here to actually the upside. I mean, this is incredible. The volume is just supporting here. And the volume's not really, yeah, look at that. We just had another volume spike. I mean, this is an incredible move right now on NGA here. I'm not sure what, let's see, Canada's Line Electric says it will build a new plant in Illinois, creating 750 jobs. Okay. And the closing of the SPAC merger. Okay. Yeah. All right. Seems potentially a little excessive on a run here. As a trader, I'd be very excited. But I wouldn't. I don't know if we can expect that 24% rally to sustain. We'll see what happens. OcuGen 17% here, and where is that? Yeah, and remember, NGA often used to at least rubber band kind of around 20. So we'll see what happens. AMC 630. Good. Well, let's see here. It's up a good chunk. Piton kind of just going straight down here. It's at 88.9 right now. Did have a nice run to almost 92 there. Tilray kind of starting its rotation down. Ubiquity's up. Zom's up. Snowflake's up. Let's see where Tesla sits right now. Tesla back down here. Tesla was up about 1.4%. Now back to just up 0.5%. So really seeing a very kind of like, it feels like a revy kind of start on tech, like, but it's just not really like, It's not, I'm not holding on. It's not starting. So let's see what else here. Yeah, Ocugen up, or I'm sorry, down about 18% here. Let's go ahead and see what we can get off Bloomberg. Let's see what we got here.
Yellen joining the White House press briefing at 12:30 this afternoon. Chicago Fed President Charles Evans kicking off a busy week of Fed speak on Monday. Later in the week, we'll hear from Presidents Daley, Williams, Bullard, and Kaplan. On Wednesday, we'll hear from President Biden hosting a bipartisan meeting with House and Senate leaders. Plus, we get US CPI too. PPI coming out on Thursday and rounding out the week on Friday with retail sales. I'm pleased to say that Rick Reed is joining us for a bonus round here at BlackRock. Rick, we can't get rid of you. I'm happy about that. You're going to stick with us for a couple more minutes. Let's just get a conviction trade, Rick. We spent the last hour talking about the data, how you're positioned in cash. Haven't talked enough about where you are invested, where you're putting money and capital to work at the moment.
Yeah, we're, the part of, sometimes it gets misconstrued. You say we're sitting on a lot of cash. You can still run long risk. And you can run, we talked about using convexity in the book, using call options to get long risk. I like equities. I think they're going higher. I think I love owning some of the cyclicals, the commodity companies. Financials have worked out well. I still own tech. I still like tech because I think there are parts of tech that have gotten crazy overvalued. But still, some of these FANGs, the numbers that we saw earnings-wise were incredible. And then, fixed income, we're still getting yield in securitized assets, still parts of the credit market. And then, we've been going a bit into emerging markets recently. It's one of the few places you can actually get some yield. And so we've been doing a bit more of that. So anyway, we like getting yield where it makes sense, not where it's silly at this point. And then, but then trying to, ride some equity upside.
Rick, that's what I wanted to pick up on the equity side, just regionally where the bias is at the moment. All the talk of US running in the first quarter. The US won the first quarter. Second quarter was meant to be about Europe. Is that where you're looking to across the other side of the Atlantic, out of the United States?
You usually do pretty good research. Yeah, we have. We've been growing. We have a European bank position, but we've also been buying some of the industrials. There are places that are pretty encouraging. Italy, particularly, that you've got a Mario Draghi running the country now. You've got real. After the program to get more money into Italy, and you've got from vaccine evolution. So yeah, there's some places we've been doing more industrials. It's harder in Europe to find enough that are, quote, European companies, i.e. don't sell internationally or not international companies. But yeah, Europe's been a place where we've increased the weighting and actually reduced a bit of the U.S. We're still long the U.S., but yeah, Europe's been the place we've taken more of the exposure recently.
Rick, I know you've got to run. I have to say thank you. I never want to get rid of you. You know that. Rick Reeder at BlackRock. On the Payrolls Report. Hey, Rick, it's always good to catch up. A big downside surprise on the Payrolls Report in the United States of America. Wall Street looking for something in and around 1 million. What we actually got was something way south of that, 266. Joining me now on Bloomberg TV and radio is Marty Walsh, the U.S. Secretary of Labor. Secretary Walsh.
He was literally just on CNBC. He's making the rounds. The guy's making the rounds. It's priceless. Oh my goodness. All right, the OTC stocks are open. Voyager Digital down a bit here. Shift Tech is down. JP Morgan only down about 1%. Was down as much as 2% at one point here in pre-market, almost down 2.25%. NGA, there we go. It's starting to rotate down a little bit. Not that I want to see it rotate down, but I'm shocked that on the merger we're seeing kind of the rally that we've seen here. Let's see if he actually has news or is he just recapping?
Bringing people back. It's how much of an effect they're having because there's other issues there. So we want to continue to put a face on that. And yields, which plummeted on the weaker than expected headline number, have for the most part come back. You're unchanged on a 30-year bond, close to that on 10-year notes. And I just don't see these numbers popping out yet. We'll give it a couple of more seconds, but we are expecting that 1.4 mid-month to stand. It's up 1.3. So 1.3 means we subtract just 1/10 away from that 1.4, and that isn't such a bad number, and it's still one of the better numbers. It's just that it doesn't take you back 10 years anymore. And on the sales side, don't see that one showing up. Post-sale sales should be out up 4.6. 4.6, that is a powerful number. How powerful is it? Well, up 4.6 equals where we were in January, and you have to consider.
I'm a little confused there. I'm certainly confused.
is 9.5, and that was from June. So we're about halfway to the best
There you
numbers we've seen, and all of those numbers are in the last 10 months. Mike, back to you.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. We are 30 minutes into the trading session. Here are the three big movers we're watching, starting with Roku, rallying after beating on earnings and giving an upbeat forecast. That stock trying to end an 8-session losing streak, and staying with tech name Square, more than doubled its earnings estimates, getting a boost from surging demand for Bitcoin. And we will end on Peloton announcing it would take a current quarter hit of $165 million for the recently announced recall of its treadmills. The company also cutting its sales and profit forecast for the current fiscal year ending on June 30th. David.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, let's get over to our senior economics reporter, Steve Leisman, now for more on today's jobs report. It was
No, we've already gone through the jobs report. So Doge back to 61.4 here. Square pumping a little bit here. See what happens here. Seeing more pump to the up than the down here, but wait, I did see that candle kind of bob around here a little bit to the downside as well. Arrival, these are the warrant. Oh, let me get rid of this. This always gets confusing when you get the warrants up too. There we go. That's better. Okay, here we go. NGA rotating to that downside. Roku had a really nice pop there at the beginning, but just saw the volume kind of evaporate. It almost honestly makes you wonder if like ARK Invest is like buy right here, and it absorbed a lot of selling pressure right at the open, which sort of unlocked the gateway for this stock to rally. But now it's like you're getting more inventory on the market of people willing to sell as they realize like, oh, that's a nice price on Roku. Sell because I want to pay taxes. Square up 7.2%. Keep in mind, hedge funds and institutional investors do not give a crap about taxes. They don't, because they ain't paying it. It's their clients who are paying it. They just want to go, oh, look at all the money I made you. Very different from an individual investor. All right, what do we got here? AMC 6.67. This is a good trend so far on AMC. Good moves here on AMC. Snowflake, there we go. Good moves here as well. It was at 201 this morning. Was under 200 yesterday, which is really incredible for this one. Yeah, Piton's flattening now at about up 5%, which is still better than obviously the crap we've seen in the last few days here. But yeah, at 88, I still think it's a, I mean, look, at 80, it's a freaking bargain. That's why I added right away when it was at 80. At 88, though, I still think it's, it's good. It's good. It's good through about 105. That's generally my thought for Piton, and that's not my price target. Price target's way higher for Piton, but that's where I want to be in order to realize the return that I want, which is big. Big. All right, what else do we have here? Skills is up. Twilio is up 4. Ubiquity up 4. Roblox coming back up a little bit here. Up 4%, but still at under 68 here. What else we have? Enphase up fractionally. Churchill Capital's up a little bit here. What is that? It's 1.4% on Churchill, 1% on Tesla. Pretty volatile day. I really think we're seeing these prices just bob left and right, up and down, and it almost makes you wonder if the markets are just having trouble digesting what's going on, which could make sense because I mean, even the Treasury yields, even the Treasuries, the market has no freaking idea what it's doing. Look at this. You had big old sell-off on the bad news, almost a complete recovery. And I shouldn't say sell-off. That's the incorrect verbiage to use here because technically prices went up when the yield went down. So you had Treasury yields plummet. Then Treasury yields almost come back to where they were, but now they're falling again at 1.53 right now. It's just it's the roller coaster continues, as we like to say. All right, so give the shows a shot.
Was nowhere near what was expected, and as he said, showed little progress in getting to that key measure of the employment to population ratio, which apparently is becoming the new thing to watch.
It definitely is, and Look, what the Fed has said, Carl, as you know, is they want a string of good reports. So what we thought we were putting together was, I don't know, the first couple beads in the string. We had the 916 that's been revised down for March, and we thought we were going to put together 1 million now. So this sort of, and you could see the bond market reacting here to this. When you look at what's happening, it's kind of like a sigh of relief that we're not getting closer to a time when the Fed is thinking about tightening policy.
Steve, huge number, lot to understand. Debates morphing before our eyes. We appreciate it, as always, Steve Leisman. Meantime, watch Expedia. Shares rallying after that first quarter number and a better bookings print than the street was looking for. Seema Modi is with the CEO of Expedia, Peter Kern. Hey, Seema.
Carl, thank you. Good morning, Peter Kern. Welcome back to CNBC.
Good morning, Seema. Thanks for having me.
Strong report from Expedia. Gross bookings over $15 billion. That was about $5 billion higher than what the street was anticipating, as you really make significant progress in gaining market share in the vacation rental space with your brand Vrbo. What do you credit that success to? Is it the location of your homes, price point, the incentives you're offering homeowners? What is it?
I think it's everything. I mean, I think
Everything's going to the moon, he says. Okay, cool. Let's try Bloomberg.
Seeing the reaction as a result.
Yeah, it feels like maybe one of the takeaways is just the economists are just not going to be right on this kind of thing. I mean, the comps are going to be so hard to understand as well. The market reaction was pretty fast and furious, but it is settling out a little bit now. Neil Kashkari was on with Michael McKee earlier and said, look, we obviously got a long way to go. That's what the data is telling us. So the initial reaction was, go ahead, buy bonds, buy tech. That was it. Sell small caps. We are seeing us moderate some of that. Initially, the 10-year yield jumped.
There's a question here. $5. Do I think stagflation will be the new headline? I mean, maybe there could be some clickbait around it, but I just don't see it at all. I think a stagflation is like a 2% chance, in my opinion. It's it couldn't happen, of course. I don't want to say it can't happen, but I just think things would have to go so wrong with this growth that we're seeing in the economy. I mean, that I don't think so. No, that's a good question, but no, there's way too much growth. The concern isn't not having enough growth. The concern is having too much growth too fast.
Mike McKee, as you say, spoke to Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari about this very subject.
For all those people who've been saying, oh my gosh, the Fed needs to normalize quantitative easing, today's jobs report is just an example of we have a long way to go, and let's not prematurely declare victory.
True. Wow.
Neil Kashkari. Mike joins us now. Mike,
From
a
the
vindication of the Fed, what it's been saying in terms of looking for that outcome. It's not trying to predict it. Why did Wall Street get this so badly wrong?
That's a good question, Guy. A lot of reasons, and you heard Marty Walsh talking about that just a few moments ago. And to that, I would add the fact that April last year, we lost 20 million jobs. So the seasonal adjustment factors are going to be off as well. Really, really hard for people on Wall Street to make predictions, which is why it was so off. I feel a little bit like the Family Feud here. I didn't put the survey numbers up, but I should say the survey says it would have been 1 million under that April number there. Instead, it's 266,000, which is kind of dreadful when you think about what we were expecting. It would have been good news a couple of years ago. The unemployment rate you could explain away because more people came into the labor force. That's good news. Labor force participation went up. Average hourly earnings went up. We were expecting them to go down because lower paid people were coming back to work. Not as many of them did. So we saw a rise there. The service industry jobs is kind of where we saw the confusion because only 234,000 more people going back to work at restaurants and leisure and hospitality, but not enough to make a difference. And so we ended up with what turned out to be the worst miss in history. And then you take a look at the gaps here between the unemployment rate and the participation rate and where we were. That's what Neil Kashkari is talking about. Long way to go. Yes, we went up a little bit, but not nearly enough to close the gap to where we were in January, February of 2020. So the Fed is going to keep the pedal to the metal at this point. And we're going to see what they do in terms of talking about tapering. A lot of people thought they might be doing it by the time of Jackson Hole, but now probably not. A lot of people think that what they'll do is put it in the minutes first. So here's your calendar to look at. I don't think you're getting anything June 16th because they're going to wait and see what happens in the jobs report for May. They probably want a couple of jobs reports. if you're going to get anything setting up Jackson Hole, it's going to be August 18th because that's the last minutes that come out before that. But we could see, as Neil Kashkari was suggesting today, nothing in the minutes suggesting tapering all the way through to next year.
Yeah, we saw that big whale of a trade being put on in the euro-dollar market. All right, Bloomberg's Mike McKee, thanks very much. Euro-dollar futures, I should say. Okay, let's get to that bond market reaction. Ira Jersey, Bloomberg Intelligence chief U.S. rate strategist, joins us now. Ira, the bond market reaction off the bat makes sense. Money coming in, 10 basis move down in the yield. Now we're kind of not really.
Let's go back to the sticks, kind of a recap here. So once we get to recaps, I always like to go see what else we can get. Let's go back to the sticks here. Tilray actually having a nice movement here. We saw this flat here, and now it looks like we're having potentially a little bit of a breakout here on Tilray, which is nice to see. Good move to the up here. We got GoPro. GoPro rotating a little bit to the down. Roku's still flat. NGA, or now LEV, Lion Electric Vehicles, maybe. Yeah, I guess I mean Lion EV. Okay, I get it. Oh, LEV. I don't know how I feel about that. Like LEV. I don't know. Lion Electric. I mean, I guess it's like kind of like BEV, like battery electric vehicle. Okay, all right. Maybe it's got to grow on me. Square rotating to the upside. So ZOM also had a nice little push to the upside all of a sudden here. A little bit of a breakout here across the board, it looks like. Yeah, Sundial rotating up. Open Door just came out of nowhere, it feels like. Ubiquity kind of stable here. Upstart, not so great. Lemonade's rotating up. Okay, so things moving to the up and up here. The exception of Ocugen just getting spanked, as well as Big Digital and Beyond Meat. But not a lot of red today. I mean, what is that, a page and a quarter of red on the Webull here? That's not much. TTCF sitting at 17. Still waiting for 20 on that to dump an option I've got. Tesla's almost up a full 2%. Coinbase up about 2% as well. Pinterest 2.5%. Endeavor's up again. Endeavor's just been really killing it. Matterport almost over 12 again. Matterport, such a great company, caught up in the SPAC mess. Enphase got a nice little pop here just in the last few minutes. ChargePoint pop, and market overall seems to be popping a little bit here. Good to see. I don't have positions in Ocugen anymore. No, we day traded that one. I can't remember what my trade was. I don't remember. I have it written down in the Stocks of Psychology Money group. You can go to the spreadsheet section, and it's in there. Nicola, some cell suppliers want initial down payments support for dedicated line. That makes sense. Tesla is more cautious about full self-driving timeline with regulators than the public. What is this? Electric. I don't see that. There it is. Tesla is being a little more cautious about its full self-driving timeline with regulators than the public, according to a newly released memo between Tesla and the DMV. Earlier this year, Plainsight, a website that focuses on making legal documents through FOIA requests, blah, 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 released emails between the DMV and Tesla. The emails were released, and they confused the media for being more conscious about describing features. Now this happened. Okay, what happened? In the notes, the DMV writes that it asked CJ Moore, Tesla's director of Autopilot, to address Musk's comments about Tesla achieving level 5 by the end of the year. DMV asked CJ to address, from an engineering perspective, Elon's messaging about L5 capabilities by the end of the year. Tesla is currently at level 2. The ratio of driver interaction would need to be in the magnitude of 1 to 2 million miles per driver interaction to move into higher levels of automation. Tesla indicated that 1 to 2 million miles per driver interaction. Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. So the car's driving 1 to 2 million miles without needing an intervention from a driver? Okay, in order to move into like level 3 or 4. Tesla indicated that Elon is extrapolating on the rates of improvement when speaking about level 5 capabilities. Tesla couldn't say if the rate of improvement would make it to L5 by the end of the calendar year. Okay, so being a little bit more cautious. Media ran with the comment. Here are the full letters, emails. I mean, that's kind of neat. I don't really care to read all this stuff. Whatever. I personally, the longer it takes, the more time we have to buy Tesla. That's the way I look at it, which is obviously very, very bullish. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm too bullish on Tesla, but I don't want that either to come across as me weakening my position on Tesla at all. That is not true. I love Tesla, and it's really just because relative to other companies, they are still magnitudes further than the competition. AMC pushing a little bit here. Nice little push there on AMC. BNGO 7%. Clover's up. Clover just popped a little bit here. Got Sundial up 7.11, also moving nicely. Square kind of rotating back down a little bit here. Lemonade's back over 80. Good moves here. Okay. Arc Innovations at about 4%. Etsy's up about 4%. EXPI is finally up. Finally. Wow, this is like the first green day in forever. Yeah, Enphase 290. Yeah, lots of pain has been in the tech and consumer disc crash. Tesla now 1.8% to the upside. And losers still sitting here. Ocugen, Mind Medicine down again. Mind Medicine has really had that rotation to the downside here. It is flattening though at a lower level. I'm sorry, at a higher level than where it was. You know, it had gotten here down into the well into the twos, and it seems to be flattening right around 330 now. Which is obviously much better. It's still up a little over $1. And okay, NGA is just giving us some volatility here. All right, let's go ahead and do I see Tesla pulling back more than RAS? Not really. Tesla's gotten a lot of bad news. Lots of bad news. U.S. Chamber of Commerce calls for ending the $300 federal unemployment boost to address labor shortage. Whew, that would be so unpopular. Could you imagine if they just yanked the $300 boost away? I doubt we would see Biden do that. I don't know. Maybe though. Maybe in negotiations with Republicans that could work. Oh my goodness. All right. What else? Let's go to the yields. Yeah, look at that. It's still trending down. That's actually a good thing. That could be why we're starting to see a little bit of that edge up again in the markets here. Let's see. Go play hacky sack in the squad. Tesla's losing some of the regulatory credits. I don't really care about the reg credits. Honestly, to me, the reg credits are bonus. This company is going to be making big dollars in the future. The reg credits are really just artificially, I think, making Tesla profitable sooner than they should have been. I would have preferred they'd still be losing money. Then I can buy the darn company cheaper. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this treasury yield. Still ticking down a little bit. Doge at 60.5. Bitcoin and Ethereum slightly rotating down a little bit. 57,049. I'm sorry, 3,499 on Ethereum. Get that out a little more clearly. All righty then. Well, I think that'll do it. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Seriously, bye. And make sure you go to metkevin.com/Weeble to sign up for your 2 free stocks, and click remind for the Ben Malla interview at 10.